Hello, I'm Ignacio Grifol, and I'm here with AJC. Hello, how are you?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm pretty fine. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to doing this for quite a long time. So let's get to it.
Yeah, right. Well, I want to start with my favorite question. What's your first memory about pro wrestling?
First memory. I think for me, it goes back to the SmackDown versus Raw video games. And I'm not very old. I'm 23. So for me, it was like SmackDown versus Raw 2005 or something like that. Just playing that video game with my brother. And I was just so interested in the game. And then I started watching it from there. And then so on and so forth. The rest is history, right?
Yes. My first video game was SmackDown vs. Raw 2007.
Okay, yes, kind of the same range. It may have been the 06 game. I'm not exactly sure, but I remember playing that game with my brother. We were in the basement and just picking our favorite superstars, and it was just very cool for me. I don't know exactly why, but like versus everything else, when I was a kid, that was my game. So then after that, started watching and then training and preparing to get into wrestling. So
yeah. Also, why did you decide to become a pro wrestler?
Pretty much around that age, around 6, 7 years old. I started pursuing it actually as a legitimate option for a career when I was 9. So I started working out in my parents' basement, doing push-ups, light dumbbell work, body weight stuff. And then I built my body up. And I gave wrestling a little bit of a try when I was 14 years old. And I was too young. I couldn't really get any real bookings or real opportunities. So I backed away from wrestling when I was about 14, 15 years old. And then I pursued bodybuilding and built up my body even more, and then aged and got to be 18 years old. And then once I was in college, then I came back to wrestling, and I guess you could say it took off pretty well. So it was much better for me to age and grow up and get into wrestling at a mature age. Not because I wasn't mentally mature, just because liability reasons and whatnot, people don't want a minor in the ring for the most part. So yeah, it started for me really young because I knew I wanted to do it,
Yeah. Also, I think that you have a very famous uncles, right?
I have a very famous uncle. So I'll peel the curtain back a little bit here. When I was a kid, like I said, I was really into wrestling. So what I did was I went to school and I told everybody that Dolph was my uncle. So what happened was I actually ended up meeting Dolph at a comedy show in Wisconsin, probably 2019, maybe 20. No, it wasn't 2020 because it was before the pandemic. But I met with Dolph and I told him that story. And I told him I was going to go train at OVW, yada, yada, yada. He trained there too. And he was like, use it, kid, use it to get over. So like ever since then, he was, super cool because he tweeted at me like best nephew in the biz. And at the time it was like super duper cool for me because I was like, oh, I might as well use it. So a lot of people kind of bought it hook, line, and sinker. And I guess I'll keep rocking and rolling with it, except for the people who are watching this today. Now they know. It's not that hard to figure out the truth these days, though. So there's no reason in not being transparent. But if people don't want to do the research, then there they go. But there's a little insider, I guess, through this interview. So
great. Also, as you said, you started as of your video on Twitter, and you say that when you were a kid, that you have lack of confidence, so you started the bodybuilding to gain confidence in yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's just a natural part of growing up. And I feel like for a lot of people, it takes them longer to grow out of it. But I feel like once anybody finds something that they love or that they're good at or that they're passionate at or that they put their life towards, that's when your confidence builds. So like I became a national champion or placing nationally in freestyle skiing. I became a national champion bodybuilder, regional champion bodybuilder, against natural and enhanced athletes as a natural athlete. Got to put myself over. But those things, applying myself and working hard and doing what I needed to do every single day and knowing that if I set my mind to something, I can go out and do it. that built confidence for me. So then as a trainer nowadays, that's one of the biggest things that I like to talk about, is just like use this fitness thing, this body thing, as an opportunity to build in here to be more confident in your everyday life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Also, in that video, you say that you build your body to punish other people. So I think maybe this is not the way.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
That in the promotional video you post on Twitter, you say that you had the bodybuilding to gain confidence, and now you are gonna get revenge against others.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, you can always say one thing or another about a certain circumstance, but yeah, it definitely gives me some leverage, you know, so it's good.
Yeah, that's good. Also, you trained on Ohio Valley Wrestling, a very famous promotion. Can you tell me what did you learn with, imagine, Rip Rogers?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it was just a great experience to learn how to work TV, because a lot of people, they don't know how to hit times. They can't hit times. They've never been trained to hit times. So learning how to work not only cameras, but hit your times and know your cues and communicate with the ref and all that stuff. That's, at the risk of sounding arrogant, that's just put me above everybody else, in the sense that if someone asks me to go do TV, I have 2.5 years of live television experience that I can implement and use. So that's number one. And then number two is just obviously selling who you are, your intent to win in the match, and the story that you're trying to tell, not the moves, the flips, all that stuff. You can use it, but just obviously through the people that Rip Rogers and OVW is trained, it's obviously been more character and getting over focused. And for me, that's what I want to learn, because, or at least that's what I did want to learn and continue to want to learn, because at the end of the day, getting over is what matters in professional wrestling or sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it. So learning from Rip and learning how to do things and why, I think was the best part of being at OVW for sure.
Yes. I assume that Ohio Valley Wrestling is a very old school style.
Yeah, I mean, it's old school, but I think what's old works. You know what I mean? And like what I said is, it's not that you can't do the spots and whatever, but it's one of those things where it's like, why are you doing it? You know what I mean? So if you can find a reason why, and you can have it make sense, and you can put it into a story without burying the rest of the card, I don't see a reason why you shouldn't do it. But if you're just doing it to do it, I think there's a better use of your time in the ring. But that's just what I've learned, but I also have a lot more to learn. So there's that too.
Yes. That reminds me, I read a tweet long ago that say that in a promotion, they teach how to use time, as you say, because you have 7 minutes, no more, no less. So end your match, because if you take, like, for example, 10 minutes, it's 3 minutes you take from other match, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So also it's a respect thing too. So it's like, if there's a 2-hour show and you're not the main event and you're not what the company's selling at that particular time, let's say I was on the card with Shawn Michaels, right? And I go over my time. Well, that's probably going to get me some good heat in the back, you know, not the good heat with the crowd, like not the kind that draws and brings in money to see me get beat, but the kind of heat where it's like, all right, you're not wrestling on this show again kind of heat. So hitting your times is super important. Then also using all of your time. There's been instances where I was first starting where I would come up short on time. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't even hit my time, which is a horrible idea, because you're given an opportunity and you're only taking half or 3/4 or 2/3 or whatever. So yeah, hitting your times is super important. And if you don't take all your time, someone else will, that's for sure. So
yeah. Also at Ohio Valley Wrestling, you were the last television champion. Can you tell me, how do you feel with this accomplishment?
Yeah, I mean, I guess technically I'm still the OVW television champion, because I'm yet to be beat. But no, in all seriousness, it was the first title that I actually won, and it was an opportunity that, you know, an opportunity to experience. And I think a lot of times people win championships or titles and they don't fully understand what it means. But for me, being at OVW, you know, they let me know that I represent not only prestige within the brand, but it's one of those things where it's like, you are the guy that people are going to come after. So you have to not only carry yourself with that kind of prestige, but you have to try to elevate this championship, or have that championship elevate you, and then you can run with it. So just optimizing that opportunity was cool. And I definitely enjoyed it. It was almost 3 years ago now, though. It's crazy to think about. Or probably over 3 years ago now. Time flies.
It gets worse when you get older. I mean, when you get older, the time, I mean, for me, yesterday was when I had 20 years.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like, I remember being like a little kid and like Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever, it felt like so long between like every year. It was like this huge span of time. But now it's like, it's Christmas again, it's holiday season again. It's just like, where did the time go? But I guess, relatively speaking, as you get older, a year is less of your life versus when you're 2, it's half your life. So it seems like longer. So, but yeah, it's wild, man. Time does definitely fly.
Yes, it happens to me a lot when I was wrestling. I mean, for example, Sting, and I say, oh, okay, Sting. Wow, but I watched the Sting in TNA 10 years ago. I mean, 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's wild, man. It's definitely wild. That's why you got to make the most out of every freaking day, you know? It's an opportunity to have a day. So you got to make the most out of it, because time doesn't come back, you know?
Yes. Also, you had a match against Jesse Goddard for the national championship. How do you feel with this great opportunity?
Man, it was a fun opportunity. That was actually my last match that I had at OVW. It was a good show, and they started to change their regime a little bit, and I think now they're doing even better business than before. So I'm happy for what they've done and where they're going and their trajectory. So I don't have anything bad to say about it. I just, you know, that was a time in my life that was over here, and now I'm over here, and it was time to move on, which I think is normal. Like, throughout the history of wrestling, it wasn't ever common for someone to stay in one territory forever. You know what I mean? So that's how you learn, that's how you grow. And but at the time, that was definitely a cool opportunity to have, and definitely was fun. So I enjoyed it.
Also, you had a good career on the independent circuit because you wrestlers like Enzo Amore, Daivari, I mean, big wrestlers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, I try to just go wherever, you know what I mean? And I've had the opportunity, like we said, to work with a variety of people, whether it's Trevor Adonis in Wisconsin, LeBron Cozone in North Carolina, Rip Rogers at OVW in general, or now training with Braun Strowman. I actually have a ring set up at his house, and we work around. We've traveled quite a bit together while he was, you know, had his time away from the WWE. So I've just had a great opportunity to not only work with a large amount of very successful, intelligent, insightful people, but I've also had the opportunity to be put under that learning tree of a lot of very smart people, far smarter than I. But that's Andreas speaking, not AJZ. Obviously, nobody's smarter than me, better looking than me, nothing. But no, in all seriousness, I've had amazing opportunities to learn from wonderful people.
Yes. Also, can you explain your character? Because I think that there is maybe a few readers that doesn't know you.
Yeah, my character is the golden boy. So no matter what I do, no matter where I go, no matter how I represent myself, I do it better than anyone else. But that being said, I'm not just some pretty boy. If you make me mad, I may just snap.
Next question.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Also, you got a lot of praise from Braun Strowman that he said that you are like keep the eyes on this guy.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I said, I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of great people. And obviously he's a very, very nice guy, and he's willing to give more than he's going to take. And he's been very successful. So I'm just thankful that he's, said some nice things about me, and obviously has taken the time to help get me along the way and show me the ways of the business. So yeah, for me, I'm just thankful that he's there to help me, and I consider him one of my best friends. So
That's good. Also, I think that you have your other uncle, Ryan Nemeth, that he's working on All Elite Wrestling. There is any plan to start, I don't know, like a wrestling dynasty like the Andersons or the Bonerics?
I mean, you never know, man. I would love to work in and get some opportunities with either of the Ziegler boys or Nemeth boys. But yeah, in all seriousness, I don't know. I honestly, like I said, I'm not really super close with either of them. I have never even met Ryan, but it would be definitely cool. And I feel like we could put our characters together and tell some good stories. So, I mean, if anyone's out there that wants to book it, connect with him, connect with me. Let's do it.
Nice. Also, you wrestled on New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong. What can you tell me about your experience? There is a difference in the style or something?
Yeah, wrestling again for New Japan Strong was a great opportunity presented to me through Rocky Romero. He believed in me and gave me some opportunities, and I'm thankful for it. Actually, the first taping that I did, Rocky could have been selfless and taken most of the match, but he gave it to me and slipped out with a backslide. So he put me over, and he didn't put me over. I mean, he won. But what I'm saying is, like, he gave me a lot. He gave me opportunities, and he let me showcase myself on a bigger platform. And that was the first time that I've ever been on a platform of that size. So I'm definitely thankful for that opportunity again. And, who knows? We'll see what happens down the road, and we'll see where we go from here.
Yes. You also joined Control Your Narrative, the promotion created by Braun Strowman and EC3. What can you tell me about your matches in that promotion?
It was a good opportunity again. And I know I sound like a broken record, but it's true. Like, we had different styles of matches. We had those cinematic styles. We had a live tour that we partially went through and enjoyed for a bit. And then it was just a good opportunity to learn a different style and connect with new people and get around and work with a bunch of different promotions. Because that's what we did. Like, we had shows in Cleveland, Detroit, Milwaukee, Orlando, North Carolina, and, Texas. And that's where I wrestled Scotty 2 Hottie. And it was just a good opportunity to gather with a bunch of different guys and create a family, and work together towards a different vision. And who knows what the future holds for CYN? I honestly don't even know myself, but I'm going to say it was a cool opportunity to work with Cross and EC3 and Adam, Braun, and just all those guys. So it was definitely a cool and fun memory to have, and a good learning experience.
Yeah. Also, I think that is a different style because you get experience with television, but not cinematic matches.
Yeah, exactly. So it was different. And I posted a highlight reel of one of my matches with Braun, Adam, and it came out so cool, like, it's just different. It wasn't in front of a ton of people. It was with the CYN boys at ringside. It was like Fight Club style, I came in, I beat the tar out of a smaller kid. And the story is Braun comes in and pretty much does the same thing to me, but he gives me a little bit of life in there. But yeah, it was a cool experience to tell a story and then see it put together in cinematic form. So it was fun too. Definitely a fun experience to have.
However, Darby Allin complained about cinematic matches because when he makes a big move and cut, repeat, and he said, wow, the adrenaline just turned down. I mean, it's not like good for the adrenaline and momentum.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had that experience. So when we did our cinematic matches, it was one take, done and through and over. So we had our match and it was finished. You know, it wasn't cut, take, redo. It was do your match as if it was a live match. But, you know, it's not. And there's going to be some post-producing going on. So, no, I haven't had that experience, but I'm assuming that wouldn't be the most fun experience, especially if you're taking big bumps, but I don't do that anyway. So, but no, in all seriousness, I think it would definitely have to go up higher on my list of the different, cool, interesting things that I've ever done to see a match put together in almost like a movie style. So,
yeah. Also, Control Your Narrative had like a big tour on November, December. Well, I haven't heard a lot about it. Do you know what happened?
Yeah, so we had a tour, everything was going great, but like I said, you know, Adam had different opportunities that, you know, obviously came up. So obviously, when he's working for WWE, it's not going to be conducive with his schedule to do that. I'm not on the other side of it, so I can't tell you the business reasons and whatnot. But I do know that, I mean, obviously we lost Cross and we lost Adam. So like those are two guys that were very instrumental to the brand. And I'm not saying the guys couldn't do it, but I am saying that they definitely were part of, if not the draw. So, you know, I'm not saying it will never happen. I'm not saying that it can't happen. I'm just saying for whatever reason, and I don't know why, they just decided that it wasn't the right time to do the tour with everything, you know, changing. There's probably a lot of it too, where it's like, you know, people buy a ticket in advance and then they expect Braun to be there and he's not. So it's like, do you have to do refunds? Do you have to bring in something else? Like, how do you deal with that? So I think it's just the whole rinse is probably better. So who knows? I don't know. That wasn't my job there. I was just there to entertain. So
yeah, that's right. Also, you had a very good looking body. I mean, what do you think about? Do you think that wrestlers has to be jacked, or like, you know, today there is like a lot of complaints about you can say nothing about a wrestler's body because that's body shaming, but other people say, well, they are wrestlers, they have to be muscular and all of this.
So as a fan, my answer is I like watching the guys that look like superheroes. But I also know for certain that getting over is not necessarily tied to a body. Getting over for somebody is being relatable. Do they want to be? Or can they relate to being a guy that they want to punch in the face? Or am I that guy that they want to punch in the face? So whether I'm skinny or I'm big or I'm chunky, it doesn't necessarily matter as long as I'm emotionally connecting with people. But that being said, a lot of people aren't going to pay, or at least the masses, when they're flipping through channels, they're going to stick on a guy that looks like something they don't see anywhere else. And that's just my opinion. But I know that there's spots for everyone else. Obviously. I mean, look at a guy like Daniel Bryan. He can't be over 5'9", you know what I mean? But he was probably the most over guy in the early 2010s or whatever you want to call it. But like, just what I'm saying is, no, it's not important, but you want to have that baggage claim turn your head. Who is that kind of test going on and coming through for people? So I think it's important, but it's not always necessary.
Yes. I mean, like Mick Foley or Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I do think that it should move more towards guys who look like something you don't see every day.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's the change in how everything's going. And in a way, it's almost better for me, you know, because there's not as many guys that are walking around looking like bodybuilders. But I don't know. I just feel like from my experience, if I put myself in the shoes of when I was, I mean, we're always fans, but like when I was just a fan, I definitely liked seeing guys that I didn't see everywhere else because it was different, you know? It's larger than life, as WWE says. So, yeah, I guess that's my take on it for sure.
Yes, I mean, yeah, it's true because when I was a kid, I like wrestling was like, oh, these are titans or colossus. I mean, Lesnar, Triple H, Batista. And it's like, oh my God, they are bigger than life.
Absolutely. I think the guys that are larger than life will be the ones that stand the test of time. And that's not necessarily just in the body, that can be in the personality, but something has to be not hokey, not over the top, not exaggerated, but relatable, real, true to the circumstance, honest, but also at the same time different. So that's the ticket. And like one of my friends, Enzo Amore, I feel like that was kind of an awkward name drop. I didn't mean it like that, but Enzo is, again, especially when he was in WWE, he's a lot more jacked now for sure. But like he wasn't a big guy, you know what I mean? 5'10", he's shorter than me, and you know, probably, I don't know, 180 back then. So, but he got over, you know. He always told me like he wasn't in the gym pumping iron. He was writing his lines and thinking of different things to say. And he said that publicly, so I'm not saying something that he doesn't want me to say, but he would always focus on like connecting with the crowd and like focusing on the promo. He always says, for every rep you do in the gym, kid, do another promo. But yeah, he's a prime example of getting over, but not necessarily being a freak. But his personality was larger than life. So
yes. Also, well, Control Your Narrative started with bad reputation because people say that they were full of like right-wing reputation. So what can you tell me about this?
I just know for certain that Control Your Narrative was about bringing people together. And I'm not saying that because my friends work there and do work there. I'm saying that because I know it. We had a wide range of people working for us in that locker room who had different ideas, had different backgrounds, had different characters, wanted different things. And that's what made us different, is because we were able to control our narrative. It wasn't about one narrative. And I don't know where that misconception started. Honestly, I don't even really care, because a lot of the people that said that, they never took the time to watch it. And a lot of the times when people do that, they're just jumping to conclusions. So for me, I know that it wasn't about that, or at least I know for certain that the people that I talked to, they weren't trying to do that. But I don't know where it starts. Who knows where anything on the internet starts? It's just the internet. And, you know, just like they say in wrestling, believe none of what you see, or no, believe none of what you hear and half of what you see.
Yeah. Well, I have only one more question. Which are your future plans?
Future plans: keep working, keep grinding, keep doing what I'm doing on the day-to-day. Just working with people, online training. If people want to connect with me, they can through all my social media and whatnot. But I love training people, like I said, to help lead them down a better path. I always say build your future today, because your future starts now. And just continue traveling and wrestling and learning and growing and meeting new people and doing a bunch of great things and having the opportunity every day to do that. And I know that sounds very lame and you want to hear go to WWE or go to AEW. Well, like, I feel like a lot of the enjoyment is in the process. It's in the journey and what you learn along the way. And if you're able to apply that when you get to those moments, instead of focusing on the future all the time, you'll be much better off, because you didn't miss out on that present moment. So I'm trying to be present and learn to capture the moments and then be ready when more moments come.
Yeah, that's true. Well, thank you so much for your time. It has been a real pleasure.
All right, brother. Thank you very much for having me. And quick plug, if people want to check me out, Instagram, it's at AJZiggy1818. Same thing for Twitter. Same thing for TikTok. Facebook is Team AJZ. YouTube is Andreas Ziegler. Ziegler. You also can just type in AJZ, way easier. It's just 3 letters. And then also, if you just want to reach out to me on email for personal training, or if you want to reach out to me for anything, whatever, you can reach me on my email, which is official, OFFICIALEHW@gmail.com. That's official EHW@gmail.com.